Chronicle Forge Labs presents Moto the Dream, Part 1, The Spark. Welcome to Chronicle Forge Labs, where dreams become legends. Our first series, Moto the Dream, follows Carl's journey from a small-town boy to a MotoGP icon chasing destiny. Let's go. Utah. Small town, big dreams. A 17-year-old boy named Carl Rivers lived here. A kid who didn't care about parties, grades, or football. He cared about speed. Not cars, not video games. He dreamed of two wheels. The roar of an engine. The smell of burnt rubber. The blur of a world flying past. MotoGP, that was heaven to him. On his 18th birthday, he begged his father John for one thing: to see a real race. A ticket cost $350. The flight, another $500. It was too much for a working-class family. His mother Anna said no, but his father, he couldn't. He looked at his son's eyes and saw his own younger self in them. So, he opened his savings, broke his promise to himself, and bought 2 tickets to California. They arrived at Laguna Speedway, surrounded by thousands of roaring fans, banners waving in the sunlight. The moment they stepped into the stands, Carl froze. There he was, his idol, Steven Zimmer.
A man who turned every turn into art. Reporter asks, "Mr. Zimmer, what's your secret?" Steven smiles, greater than, "I never stopped dreaming. I never listened when people told me I couldn't." Those words hit Carl like a lightning strike. When the race began, the roar, the speed, the danger, it didn't scare him. It called to him. And when Steven lifted that trophy, Carl made a promise to himself. One day, he would too. 2 days later, they were back in Utah. Carl asks his dad, "Dad, I want to be a racer." John froze. He knew the truth. Racing wasn't just dangerous, it was expensive. The bikes, the gear, the sponsors, it was a rich man's dream. So he said no. Once, twice, again. But dreams don't die easy. One morning, on his way to school, Carl fell. Just fell. No sound, no warning. The diagnosis came fast, brutal, and cold. Cancer. Unpredictable. Unstoppable. John broke down that night. A grown man crying into his hands, begging God for one more chance. Then he realized he couldn't change fate, but he could change the story. So he sold everything, the car, the tools, even his guitar. And he bought his son a bike, a second-hand Ducati, scratched and imperfect. But to Carl, it was everything. Engine growls. The boy who once dreamed from the stands now rode under the sun, wobbling, learning, falling, rising. Pain didn't stop him. Fear didn't stop him. Time didn't stop him. Every day his body got weaker, but his will got stronger. With that same bike, Carl began entering local races. And he didn't just win, he dominated. Race after race, victory after victory. There was no competition for him. But one day, while working on his bike, he felt something warm trickle down his face. Blood from his nose. His father John froze. He knew what it meant. The illness was catching up to him. Still, Carl refused to stop. He ignored his studies, skipped sleep, and kept racing. His name spread across Utah, the kid who couldn't lose. Then came the day that changed everything. A local race, high stakes. Among the racers was Alex, the arrogant son of a millionaire. Jealous of Carl's fame, Alex made a bet, and then a plan. The night before the race, he tampered with Carl's bike, cutting the brakes and puncturing the fuel line. During the race, on a sharp corner, Carl leaned in at 200 miles per hour. The brakes failed. The rear wheel slid. He crashed.
It wasn't a small fall. His beloved bike shattered into pieces across the track. Carl survived with minor injuries, but inside, he was broken. He knew how much his father had sacrificed for that bike. When he returned home, silent and defeated, John couldn't bear to see him like that. That night, he made a decision. He booked a one-way flight to Italy, to the Ducati headquarters. The moment he arrived, security stopped him at the gate. They refused to let him in. But John didn't leave. Days passed. Under the blazing sun, the pouring rain, and the freezing night air, he waited. Every day, guards told him to go home. Every day, he said the same thing. "I'm not leaving without helping my son." Finally, on the fourth day, the general manager of Ducati saw him through the glass and ordered his guards to bring the man inside. Inside the grand office, John stood shaking, soaked in rain. "Manager, what do you want, sir?" John explained everything. His son's dream, his illness, the crash. He handed over Carl's medical reports, his race results, the photos of all his wins. Then, in desperation, he dropped to his knees. He begged. He clutched the manager's legs, crying, "Please, just give him a chance. That's all I ask." The room fell silent. The manager looked at the reports, the boy's stats, his victories, the way he fought against all odds. After a long pause, he sighed and said quietly, "We'll sponsor him." John froze, unable to speak. Tears rolled down his face. He joined his hands together and whispered, "Thank you. Thank you for giving my boy a chance." And that's how Carl's dream and his destiny began again. One morning, the letter came. A red stamp, an Italian logo. Ducati Motorsports. They wanted him for a junior test. Heartbeat returns. And that's where it all began. The story of a boy who refused to give up, a father who refused to stop believing, and a dream that refused to die. Part 2. The Last Race.
And that's how Carl's dream was reborn. Not from wealth, but from his father's will. What happened next? Did he rise to glory? Or fall trying? You'll find out soon. Stay tuned for Part 2, only on Chronicle Forge Labs. Hit that subscribe button and join the journey, where dreams are forged into legends.